So yes, this video is about the Honda 750 Transalpina, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, is it a good bike? Well, I'm interested in that bike because I was interested in getting an Africa Twin when they first came out. I was very, very tempted. It was a case of, do I sell 3 bikes, get one of these on finance? I'm glad I didn't, because I'm sure the engines are fine and everything. There is a couple of snags with them, which I'd hope that they would have fixed. But the Premier, I mean, there's little snags here and there with the touch screens and stuff like that, with the Africa Twins, people having reported different problems, etc, etc. But that's not really the main problem. The main problem is the paintwork. Now, I know Honda, well, trying to maybe keep up with the competition, but their paintwork has really suffered in the past few years. It's really gone downhill. It just doesn't hold. I know that there's some sort of like law or something changed about what paint they can use. So the paint they use is probably better for the environment. But they put it on so thin. They put it on so thinly that people are reporting their Africa Twins are rusting, or showing signs of rusting, going a bit crunchy on the outside after 1 year. And I wouldn't want to see that at all after 1 year. After 10 maybe, but after 1, no. And you know, people who have cleaned their bike and looked after it, I'd say they're looking at like some starting to rust up, paintwork starting to fail on the wheels. I've seen all sorts, and it's not. It seems to be worse on the white framed Africa Twins. On certain parts of the frame, they start to rust. So it's not on all Africa Twins. It's just it seems to be definitely on the white frame one seems to be the bigger issue. Maybe it's because you notice it more. Maybe, who knows? But that's the only downside I can see. And you know, I've looked around for all sorts of. I'm always keeping my eye out for what would be good. And if you want something that's a bit more pokey, so for instance, I do like the Himalayan, but let's face it, the Himalayan a little bit underpowered maybe for, you know, if I was going to have a nice road touring bike, or a nice, you know, if I was to like say, okay, BMW and VFR need to go, what's the one bike that could replace it? The 750 Transalp could actually do that, could actually be that job. I could go from 2 bikes to 1. I'm not selling you, don't worry, but this is not happening anytime soon. Ooh, we got some water here. Oh, just a little bit of water. Someone's lost a load of plastic bits by the side of the road from hitting that at speed. Holy cow! Oh, there's so much water about still. But yeah, the 750 is just such a nice looking bike. I know people are going to complain about the exhaust being too low, but I'm pretty sure that that's not a deal breaker for me. The exhaust being that low is not really an issue. I mean, most of the water I go through is not that deep. It might look deeper in videos and stuff like that, probably because I'm going through at speed, but if you were to slow it down a bit, that'd be fine. Plus, if it's only splashing up, the exhaust is blowing constantly out, so any water that did go in there would get blown out or just evaporate, because the exhaust is probably running at 100 plus degrees, so not really a massive issue, really, for the exhaust being that low. I'm not gonna, you know, complain about that. Is there anything really to complain about on the 750? The self-cancelling indicators I don't like the look of. Absolutely no way. Do not like the look of them whatsoever. Self-cancelling indicators. Hopefully you can press the button still, but they've got. I mean, if it's an automatic function that's just still there, then that's fine. But yeah, self-cancelling indicators didn't like the look of that. Other than that, though, I mean, the suspension probably would be I had a look at the suspension specs. It's just the standard stuff. It's not, you haven't got any rebound or anything like that, but you know, for a road bike that's not really going to be taken off. I mean, this doesn't have any rebound. I'm literally running stock suspension on this bike, stock, and I've done all the stuff. No rebound, progressive on the front, and I'm using stock BMW suspension on the rear, and I do all the stuff with it. So I don't, having that rebound and stuff, not really an issue, unless it's a little bit too soft. But we'll have to wait and see, and you have to ride it for, you know, you have to get a good 1,000 miles or so at least before it starts to bed in the shock. So who knows? It could be too soft. You have to wait and see. That needs to be, you know, tested. But I don't see, if the shock doesn't need replacing, I think that's fantastic. I mean, it can be wound up and wound down, I think, for luggage and passengers, and that might be enough. That might be all you need, because you can just wind it up for a little bit stiffer. As long as it's got some sort of level of adjustment, that should be fine. 750cc's twin, that should be decent-ish petrol fuel consumption and mileage, and having 91 brake horsepower would be brilliant on the motorways and stuff as well. It's got a minimalistic screen like this, not great. The Africa Twin's a much bigger screen, you know, that'd be much better on the road. So yeah, I'm not sure what would be the best. But yeah, I mean, it depends like on the prices and stuff we're looking at for it as well. Like, how much is it going to cost? Is it going to cost, ooh, this one. Is it going to cost, I think they said it's going to cost under 10. I can't remember off the top of my head. 7 would be good, but I don't think it's going to cost 7. I think it costs about 8 or 9, I reckon. Would it be worth me changing bikes? Probably not, no. Is it something I could see getting in the future? I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. It all depends, isn't it? I'm not going to change what I've got. I'm not going to... I'll go, oh, that would be nice to have, but I'm not going to chase it. I'm not going to change all my bikes when my bikes can do what I want them to do. So I'm not going to go ahead and splash out on a new bike anytime soon, but it's one of the bikes that I'm looking at going, well, a Tenere is too tall, so I can't have a Tenere, and I don't want to lower a Tenere. But I don't know, for your average road adventure rider in the UK especially, I don't think you need the high exhaust at all. I don't think you need the high exhaust. It comes with you can get a bash plate for it, so I don't see any issues. For someone who really likes the Africa Twin and would still probably consider getting one in the future, the 750, I would choose that over an Africa Twin easily. You got the right CCs, you got the right brake horsepower, not too much. Around 100 brake is so comfortable. 90 to 100 is such the sweet spot, because you don't need all the rider aids, I think, around that sort of power. When you start getting like 150, 200, you have to have something. You have to have some sort of traction control or anti-wheelie or something, because it's just, that's insane amount of power to put on a bike. I know people say, oh, but you can't rider aids, yada yada yada. Bikes, why do they have rider aids nowadays? Because the bikes are so linking powerful. It's insane. Gone a long way from having 30 brake horsepower and drums to 240 brake horsepower and probably some sort of quadruple lock disc, some super cornering ABS system, you know. I look at the 750 and I go, that there's not a lot of bikes. There is a few bikes out there in that market, that mid-range adventure bike. And the thing is, people say, I think people do complain about the exhaust running underneath the bike. But you know what else exhaust ran under the bike? It was the F800, the F800 GS. That the exhaust runs straight under that bike. And you know what? it is such a nice bike to ride off-road. The F800 GS, such a well versatile machine. The only complaint is the first gear is too tall for stock, so you could change a sprocket or something to deal with that, but that bike was perfect. That's probably around 80 brake horsepower, so that's not that bad, and them bikes have been out for a very, very long time. Very long time them bikes have been out for, and that was such a capable bike. I mean, James used his ones, my mate James used his one for years off-road, sold it, got a sports bike, went back to the F800. That just shows how good that sort of setup is. Having the that setup is so good, having that 80 brake horsepower twin engine, maybe something along those lines, with off-road capabilities. Having spoked wheels is so good. It makes it better than the 500X. So you've got like this nice progression now. You've got the 250, the 300, the 500, the 750, and the 1000. And out of all of them, the 750 is probably the best bang for buck for what you get. That's a big ass lorry. Can I get to the front? Maybe. Yes, I can. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on the 750. I like it. A couple of modifications I'll do to it. Other than that, it could be, you know, that would be the Honda to get, I think. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the 750. Thanks for watching this video. I guess me rambling about 750. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video. Goodbye.